Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we're making this beautiful cream of Earl Grey soap. So it gets its scent from benzoin and bergamot and palmarosa. And so benzoin is vanilla-y, palmarosa smells actually a lot like black tea. And then bergamot, of course, is that absolutely characteristic Earl Grey sort of citrus hint. And it's just beautiful. As you can see, the swirls in here are really quite delicate, and we're doing that combination of things. We're using a fairly thin batter, and then we're also using a gear tie to do a bit of a hanger swirl, which you'll see as when we get there. And then we've got a cool sculpted top. And so sculpted tops and runny batter really don't go well together, because runny batter is runny and sculpted tops, for that, you need something with a bit of body to it. And so after we pour and we do our swirl, we're gonna leave it for a little while, and then we can come back and scoop it up once it's thickened a bit, which is kind of a neat trick. Because we do want the batter to be on the thinner side, this is a sort of a slightly warmer soap. We'll be working with it a little bit above room temperature, but it's also a softer batter. So after you make these, I do recommend leaving them to age for 4 to 5 weeks, depending on how humid it is where you live, rather than sort of the more standard 3 weeks. I'd probably call this a novice soap making recipe. I wouldn't make this as my first soap, but I'd probably say you'd be fine to make it as like your 10th soap. It's not too hard, but you do want a pretty good feel for the viscosity that you'll want for the swirls, and then the waiting period before you start sculpting it up and drizzling and sprinkling and playing with it after that. But yeah, let's go make this gorgeous soap. All right, before we dive in, let's take a look at everything we've got here. So we have our melted fats, and these are just slightly warm, and our lye water, which is also slightly warm. We have our mold, some spatulas, got some paper towel over here, some containers for dividing up the batter, some titanium dioxide that's been pre-dispersed in olive oil, and our essential oil blend. Also got some clay. So to start with, we're going to blend our clay into our fats. And now we're going to add our lye water. Now I want to sculpt the top, but as you can see, it's way too liquid to do that. So I'm going to leave it for about 10 to 15 minutes so it can set up a bit, so that I can actually play with it without it just completely settling back out again. So it's been about 10 minutes. So let's see how this is. There we go. Yeah, that's actually got some body to it. So get this moving here. Kind of got to make a mess before you can make it pretty. This part's always a little nerve-wracking because it starts to look awful. So what I want to do is kind of do a bit of a like a mohawk up towards the center, and then I'm going to run a little decorative seam of Earl Grey tea down it, and then we'll cover the whole thing in a little bit of golden glitter because I can. So I am going to continue to floof. So you want to have a pretty small amount of tea because it's pretty, but it's quite scratchy. So that's part of the reason I didn't actually put it in the soap. I did that when I first got into soaping, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make this amazing Earl Grey tea soap. And you could have buffed your skin right off with it once it aged up and the tea leaves really dried out. It was not awesome. So learn from my lessons of super scrubbydom. All right, kind of fold those in a little bit. And now for some glitter, because I love glitter. So this is Golden Halo from Humblebee. And I love how it's gold, but it's like it's not a really garish yellow gold. It's more of like an antiqued kind of bronzed gold. Gonna leave that to saponify before slicing it. I'm probably gonna leave this one in the mold for a couple days because I did design this batter to be sort of workable enough that, you know, we could do these really fine swirls, but that does mean that there's not a lot of hard fats in it, so it's going to take a while to get firm. So I'm just going to leave it in the mold for a little while longer than usual. Okay, so I made these on Thursday afternoon, and it's now Tuesday morning. Long weekend. Easy to forget what day it is, I guess. So these are still pretty darn soft. So I'm wiping off between slices with a slightly damp microfiber cloth there. It's nice and smooth, though the parchment definitely rippled up on the bottom there, and that's kind of a bummer because there's a trough through the bottom of the loaf, but what you gonna do? It's already happened. I should definitely grab some more of that butcher's paper because I did find that the butcher's paper sort of creased much better. So if I wanted, you know, a nice flat bottom, I was much more likely to get it with the butcher's paper. So I should really place an Amazon order for some more of that. All right, so we're slicing through the side because there's a bunch of glitter and tea on the top. And so if we slice through the top, we'll drag that through the soft soap and then it'll be all scarred and sad looking. So we're slicing through the side here. So there you can really see the ripple from the parchment paper. But other than that, lovely creamy looking bars. And there's our little swirl there on the top. All right, there you go. You just made some beautiful cream of Earl Grey soap. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and check the description box below for the link to this full written recipe on my blog, where you'll find links to all of the ingredients and the full written instructions and all of the amounts and lots of other helpful information. So remember, because this is a softer soap, please let it age for 4 to 5 weeks before starting to use it, depending on how humid it is where you live. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.